I'd like to invite everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country, after which Dr. Horton will deliver our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you with blessings as we meet tonight. Guide and direct us as we discuss, vote on the business of the county. Help us to be ever mindful of what the citizens want, but also what's good for the county. And to keep the county beautiful, clean, and lawful. All these things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Horton. Commissioners, before we get going, I'd like to offer a slight amendment to the agenda. That would be item 3A. Right after the minutes, we have a special guest with us tonight, and we have a presentation for him. So if there is no objection, we will make item 3A the presentation. Commissioners, you have before you a draft of the minutes from our last meeting. Have you had a chance to review them at this point? Are there any additions or corrections? The final minutes, as I understand it, will be presented at our next regular meeting. So we will not be voting on the minutes this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question. I'm assuming what's highlighted in red are they going to be the changes?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay. Do we make the changes, or is that something that you all make? Okay, was it one I'm looking at where it says at the adjournment they have the date of April 24th, 2025. That should have been made, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. There was no red line here, so I didn't know what the corrections might have been.
Yep. And so the final minutes will come to you at the next meeting. However, if you notice anything that needs to be changed, then make the motion to change it now, and then the minutes will get changed, and then they'll come back next meeting for adoption.
Thank you, sir. Okay, no, I didn't notice anything else.
Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, we will take the minutes up at our next regular meeting. By way of introduction, to my far left is Mr. Steve Rollins, representing the Mattaponi District. To my immediate left is Dr. Carol Horton, representing Port Royal. I am Bob Schwartz, representing the Bowling Green District. To my immediate right is Mr. Richard Williams, representing Western Caroline. To his right is Mr. J.D. Young, representing Reedy Church. And on the very end is Mr. Lee Tingler, representing the Madison District. We have Mr. Max Havlin. Did I get it close or close?
It is Halavin,
Halavin.
Mr. Chairman, but close enough.
Wrong accent on it. I apologize. Representing the County Attorney's Office, we have Mr. Brad Robinson, our zoning administrator, and we have Mr. Craig Pennington, our county planner. So with that, like I say, we have what I consider a distinguished guest tonight. And Mr. Weber, if you would please present yourself at the podium.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to see you all here.
For those in our audience, Mr. Weber just retired as our planning commissioner for Western Caroline. I'm sorry, Madison District.
Madison.
We felt that it was only right to issue a resolution of appreciation for him. Mr. Weber has given at least 15 years of his life in service to this county, probably in more ways than what will appear in this resolution. And I would like to read the resolution at this point. Whereas Mr. George E. Weber served the citizens of Caroline County as the Madison District Representative vice chairman, and chairman to the Planning Commission from January 2018 to March 2025. And whereas Mr. Weaver served as the Planning Commission representative to the Caroline County Transportation Committee from December of 2023 to March of 2025. And whereas Mr. Weaver was employed as the Community Development Administrator for the Caroline County Department of Planning and Community Development from 2008 to 2010, where he was instrumental in the county being awarded the All-American Citizens Award. Excuse me. Whereas Mr. Weaver's perspective was a positive and significant contribution to the Planning Commission, the Department of Planning and Community Development, and to the citizens of Caroline County in consideration my Medicare Advantage. That's number 4 today. The Department of Planning and Community Development, and to the citizens of Caroline County in consideration of land use and development issues that helped guide the growth of Caroline County. And now therefore be it resolved that the Caroline County Planning Commission does hereby express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. George E. Weaver for his dedicated service and the many contributions he made to the betterment of Caroline County, adopted this 24th day of April, 2025. Mr. Weaver, we salute you, sir, and we thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that.
And like I say, this only touches on some of the contributions that George has made to the county over the many years that he's been here. And with that, sir, even give you the box that goes with it.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to give it to him up there so we can take a picture?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. If he remembers how to get up here. Ladies and gentlemen. One over here in the spotlight. Even though we don't always agree. Okay.
Fine line where everybody's got their eyes open, right? Nobody blink.
Good luck, guys.
Chairman.
Oh, well, I thought that was me. Lord, I don't know what it is, but it feels like a foot.
I'm getting over here. I want you to come in here.
Nice county cup. Yeah. These guys, come out down in the office too.
It's like yours. Not even.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. You can stay or go if you please. See you guys. All right. right, do we have any unfinished business? We have a request application deferral request to our June 26, 2025 meeting of the RZ 04 2024 Mid-Atlantic State Fund, LLC owner. We also have an application request deferral for June 26, 2025 meeting, SPEX 03 2025 Mid-Atlantic State Fund, LLC owner, NRD Retail LLC applicant. These two items does not require, well, the deferral does not require any action. They will automatically be deferred until our next meeting. Text Amendment 02 2025 Civil Penalties, corresponding amendments. Mr. Robinson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. So for the record, my name is Brad Robinson with the Planning Department. The Planning Commission should recall that at your meeting last month, a public hearing was held for proposed amendments to Article 20 of the zoning ordinance that would add provisions for civil penalties and amend the existing provisions that we have in the ordinance for criminal penalties. The board had asked staff to evaluate and develop enforcement provisions that would address repeat violators. And so civil penalties is seen as one of those solutions to that issue. We are back before you tonight for amendments to additional articles of the zoning ordinance that are a companion amendment to the amendments to Article 20. It was the original intent for the amendment you heard last month to include tonight's amendments, but due to the initiating motion that was made, they are being proposed separately. And you may recall the Planning Commission initiated tonight's amendments by way of a motion at last month's meeting. Both amendments, along with those to Chapter 77 of the County Code, which is the property maintenance provisions, will go before the board next month with the goal that everything be adopted concurrently. So the proposed amendments for tonight involve Articles 2, 15, and 17 of the zoning ordinance. In Article 2, we are amending our existing definitions for inoperable vehicle, junkyard, and trash, and then we are adding a new definition for uncontrolled growth. Moving on to the amendments for Article 15, we are amending the provisions for the parking and storage of inoperable vehicles in Section 5, which is currently in the zoning ordinance. And then you'll see Section 5A and 5B. Those are new sections that are being added to Article 15. Sections 5A and 5B would address violations in all of the county's zoning districts. Section 5A pertains to trash, garbage, and other substances that can create a public health, safety, or fire hazard. And Section B pertains to uncontrolled growth that is detrimental to the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. And then lastly, moving on to Article 17, we are updating the provisions that pertain to the process for certificates of occupancy to reflect the department's current practice. And we have removed an outdated building code reference from the ordinance. So you have the complete text of the proposed amendment in your packet. I'm happy to address questions you might have or walk through the proposed changes in more detail if needed. With that, I'm happy to answer questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Commissioners, any questions?
vehicle. Some wording there about what county does it still have on that vehicle? Detail.
I could. To my knowledge, we do not, but that is existing language. We could certainly update that language if needed.
Is there a definition to detrimental to adjacent properties? What way? I understand trash, detritus, things along those lines, but define how that is detrimental to my neighbor. Is there somewhere that does define it?
I'm not sure if we have somewhere that defines that, but the language is intended to allow some discretion for staff depending on the situation. Detrimental is typically where it may be a nuisance that's attracting rodents or causing some other type of issues. Typically, that's a scenario that would be deemed detrimental.
Anyone else?
I looked at I was trying to read as much as I could. So I looked at the Virginia Code section 46.2-100. In there, they stated something about it. There was an exception for personal delivery devices. And I didn't know what that was. And also by devices that are moved by human power. So I'm assuming those are bicycles or whatever, but I didn't know what the exception was for a personal delivery device. So, but I just wanted to make sure everything was covered. And if we're going by the Virginia Code as to what determines a vehicle, I guess that's what we'll stick to, right?
So the intent of the amendment is that the use of vehicle will capture everything that the Code of Virginia may speak to. So you can see currently our definition speaks of any motor vehicle, trailer, or semi-trailer. We're clarifying that to sort of correspond to the Code of Virginia by just using the word vehicle instead of motor vehicle, because it may necessarily not always be a motor vehicle. And our attorney may have some clarifying comments on that.
On the question as to personal delivery devices, that's actually a defined term also within 46.2-100, and that is specifically about automated delivery robots that go along sidewalks and deliver meals or orders from wherever, Walmart, if you're close enough to a Walmart within an urban area, and there's authority to regulate those. So that's actually a specifically defined term carved out from vehicles.
Okay.
There are very few places that have those currently, but it exists in the code.
So currently, how do we, businesses in the county that has a lot of vehicles that's sitting around for a long, are they under different, do we treat them or monitor them different than regular residential areas? Or, I know we're saying that junk cars are supposed to have fencing or enclosed or whatever. So those like auto shops and whatever that I see with 10 and 15 cars sitting around them, the building, it look like they've been sitting there forever. If a complaint is made about them, the same thing would apply even though they're a business, correct?
So we would have to check the history of the property in question to see how it may be zoned, if there are any associated special exception permits that were issued for the property, whether it may be a non-conforming use. So there's so many variables in that scenario, it's sort of difficult to answer that question. It's all going to depend on how that property is operating and what the use of the property is.
Okay. I mean, I just didn't want residents to have to pay a fine or a penalty when we have businesses that are an eyesore as well, and they are not, nothing is being done to them, done with them. So, okay.
So it may be some situations where there's an existing junkyard that was in existence prior to the county prohibiting the establishments of any additional junkyards. So those would be situations where it may be a legal non-conforming use.
Okay. All right, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Rollins stole a little bit of the questions that I had. Antique vehicles are not required to be inspected. So if I have an antique vehicle sitting in my yard with antique plates and no inspection sticker, within the four corners of the ordinance, I would be in violation. I see our attorney getting ready to get up.
Generally, it would require to have neither the valid plates or inspection. So if it has valid antique plates, then it wouldn't be considered an inoperable vehicle.
It would be considered inoperable?
It would not be considered inoperable.
Because legally I could still operate it on a public highway.
Exactly right. You can. It's still an operating condition, and it has valid plates because it has antique plates, which are specifically approved.
All right.
It has antique plates, but doesn't necessarily mean it's operable.
Correct. So there are two there. If it's inoperable, that's a different category. If it is just not an operating condition, that is a
From street view, if it has wheels and the hood down and antique plates on it, we're not telling them to start it up.
that's an enforcement issue, but generally no, I would say.
I would submit that if a complaint was received by the code enforcement officer and they went to that residence, the way the code is written now, it may operate, it may go forward, may go in reverse, it may have valid license plates on it. But the wording says neither valid license plates, comma, a valid inspection decal, comma, nor a valid county decal. Now, I'm not trying to be a stickler, but the way that it is punctuated would tend, in a push come to shove, make discretion not viable, especially if you have a Karen or a Ken who doesn't like their neighbor and they keep pushing on an issue like that. They're going to expect the enforcement officer, well, get them for no inspection or get them for something. So I don't want to see the county be put in the position of trying to do the right thing, and you have a citizen or a couple of citizens breathing down their neck and going around saying, well, the county just doesn't do anything at all about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood, sir. The definition of inoperable vehicle, how it has been interpreted, to my knowledge, is there are basically three categories of inoperable vehicles as defined. It can be either, not an operating condition. That's one, and then that's separated from a semicolon, or if it's disassembled, semicolon, or it has to have neither the valid license plates nor the inspection decal. So it has to be missing both of those elements in order to meet the definition of an inoperable vehicle.
Right.
I heard Commissioner Rollins, identify the valid county decal issue. With that removed, there would be those two elements of neither the valid license plates nor the valid inspection decal, both of which would have to be satisfied to meet the definition of inoperable vehicle.
All right. But if the vehicle, I'm sorry, if the vehicle is operable, you can start it up and you can move it, and it just doesn't have that inspection sticker, which is not required by law. I just want to make sure we don't put ourselves into a box
Correct.
where somebody files a complaint with the county that the code enforcement officer is not doing their job.
Correct. Understood. If it were operable and it had either a valid license plate or a valid inspection sticker, it would not meet the definition of inoperable.
Okay, I'm good with that. Thank you. Yeah.
The only comment I guess I would add to this is it's going to be difficult to address an ordinance that might capture every scenario that could occur. So we may have to evaluate the regulations as we go forward with these provisions and make necessary amendments if we're running into issues like that.
If I could move on to junkyards for a second. Um, if someone had a recycling center, how would the changes here affect them? If it, because I see inoperable vehicles on it. If they're stripping a vehicle down, the metal parts, and they're selling the metal parts off at a scrapyard elsewhere, um, and they're doing it on a continuous basis, are they going to be affected by this junkyard provision?
Likely, it would depend on the use of the property. I'm not sure if we're just speaking of a citizen or an actual um, business type of use that's conducting that activity.
Yeah, I would say a citizen who has some acreage and he leases most of the acreage out for farming, but he takes vehicles into his garage and strips them down and so forth. Uh, and they wind up accumulating vehicles. And when they are approached, their response is, well, I'm stripping these vehicles down and, cycling the metals out. Because I do know we have at least one situation in the county where a citizen is plagued by a multitude of offending vehicles right adjacent to their property line. So is that something that we would be able to take care of?
So I believe that type of situation would currently be able to be addressed under the current definition that we have of junkyard. And so with these amendments, that would still be classified as junkyard activity.
All right, sir. And one last thing to satisfy me, and I'll shut up. Uncontrolled growth, that is going to be limited to 2 acres or less. Is that correct? Was I
That is
reading?
correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Robinson. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any further questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
We got to have the public hearing first.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. Trying to skip a process here. All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The purpose of a public hearing is for the Caroline County Planning Commission to listen carefully to the verbal expression, position, and opinion from the citizens of Caroline County. Public hearings are not question and answer sessions and debates, and all statements should be addressed to the chair. When members of the public offer comment, they need to clearly state their name and voting district prior to making their comments. Persons speaking at public hearings are respectfully requested to keep comments brief, not to exceed 3 minutes, and to address only those issues pertinent to the matters advertised for public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Pennington. Public hearing regarding text amendment 02-2025 is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak regarding this matter? Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward. Final call, anyone wishing to speak regarding this amendment? Seeing no one coming forward, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, what be your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practices warrants the approval of text amendment 02-2025. I recommend that it be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with the recommendation of approval.
Second that.
Motion by Mr. Rollins, seconded by Mr. Williams. Is there any further discussion?
Just point of clarification, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is that motion including the amendment you noted to remove the county inspection decal piece of that?
The county decal.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the definition. I just wanted to
Yes, sir.
clarify that.
And yeah, to change the verbiage to remove the county decal from the
Thank you.
definition.
All right, Commissioners, you have a motion and a second. All those in favor, no further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. This will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with the changes as noted, with the recommendation of approval. Mr. Pennington, any and all matters? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to remind and take a poll of the commission members who need to attend the certified planning commissioners training, and to remind you all, if you don't have the information that was sent before, we can resend it so you can look at potential dates that you may be available to go to complete that training. So just please reach out and let us know, and we can get you registered. I will say we were surprised that one of the classes did fill up, so you might get pushed to the next session. But if that is indeed the case, then that is the case. But I want to be sure that you guys were aware and that we needed to make arrangements for that to happen. So.
All right, I registered this week, so I would let Lisa know that I'm registered for the August class.
Very good. Did you get in person or did you get online?
Virtual.
Virtual, right.
Yeah, the in-person one was full.
Yeah.
I think they had about 30 slots left for the virtual one.
Yeah, and we tried to inquire if we could get on a wait list. They have started a wait list, but we weren't sure if we had to register for both. So, but thank you.
Mr. Hughes, do you know how often they offer that class?
It's an annual class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Are you teaching that one?
I'll say point of privilege. Chris McKenzie and I both help with that LUEP program, and we do some of the trainings. So if you all need us to contact Will or anybody there to try to figure anything out, just let us know.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything further, Mr. Hughes?
It's pretty good. You get your professional to show up. How about that?
I'm telling you.
It does.
Yes, indeed.
No, sir. That is it.
Okay. All right, sir. Is there a motion to adjourn to our June 26, 2025 meeting? Yeah, we just did. Yeah, that was it. You want more? No? You want more? I can get you more now. All right, motion by Mr. Young, seconded by Mr. Williams. Any further discussion on the motion to adjourn? There being no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned, not the motion.